one of my favorite influences as well is Mac Miller. You know, I feel like Mac Miller, when he was alive, he didn't get the credit he deserved, and he was a musician as well. He played piano. He was great, like at engineering as well, and he just made his vibes were always so soulful. That's the thing. Like when you told me that you can tell like the effort you put into the music and the vibes in it. It's also because I feel like I've found a pocket where like I'm having fun. So in general, when I'm doing that now, my soul's coming out with it because we're cohesively enjoying the experience. Whereas early on, it was kind of like me, following my influencers, trying to be cool, have this image, you know what I'm saying? Like when I first listened to Currency and Wiz, I just started smoking weed then. Like that was my first time smoking weed. I was like a sophomore in college. The paranoia I was getting and stuff, man, you'd be lucky if I could go into a studio and even get a sentence down. Like, and I remember thinking to myself, I would smoke all the time and be like, how do they go to the studio and record? Like, I can't do this. Like, I'd be such a rookie around them. It was funny.
They wrote me off and I ain't like that, so I'ma fight that. The bad man back. Right when you thought that it was safe to relax, you gotta stretch that. The bad man back. Dealers with me for real. They right here.
You ready?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Hey, man, it's the Big LAC Show. Today, we have Jesus in the building. I'm sorry. That joke ain't gonna never get old.
Hilarious.
Noetic J in the building. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great, Big LAC.
Don't goddamn leave me hanging.
It's nice to see you, bro.
So, you see I got my phones out because I got some questions.
Yeah, you got that, what is that, the Android one?
This one ain't, this is a newer phone, but it ain't new. It's the Z Fold 6.
I'm still gonna stay with the iPhones. Keep it simple.
I got that too. So, met you a couple of weeks ago, Glow Bar, the Atlanta Summer Tour through Lisa Mack. Cool guy. I hit you and I said, hey, man, we need to do this again because the reaction you were getting from the clip that we put out, was fantastic. So I said, let me pick you. I want to get you in studio, pick your brain a little bit more. So let's start from the beginning. Give us your story.
Yeah, first off, want to say appreciate you for having me back.
Oh, most definitely.
You know what I'm saying? That clip we did also is a testament to you as a comedian and as a great interviewer. So, but where you want to start? You said from the beginning?
Wait a minute. We're going to back up. So you going to call me a comedian because I'm fat? You saying all fat folks are funny?
See, you trying to set me up.
I am.
You trying to set me up.
That's exactly what I'm doing. So answer the question, nigga.
Nah, because one of my favorite comedians is Cat Williams. So he's the opposite.
So you comparing me to a crackhead?
You know what?
Not say it. Yeah?
No,
Yeah, that's what
no,
you doing?
I am not.
Fat
I'm saying
crackhead
you
is
as
what
you
I
just
invite
as funny.
you to my home.
You are just as funny as Cat Williams.
Oh, nah.
All right. How's that? How's
I
that?
want
Is that a
them
better
problems.
compliment?
Yeah,
Is that
I
a better
guess.
compliment?
So let's start from the beginning.
Okay. All right.
Tell me your life. What happened? Where does Noetic J come from?
Yep.
Where do you come from and all that?
So I've always been in a musically inclined family, at least mostly in instrumentations. So my mom played the flute. My brother, self-taught guitarist, and I played violin, believe it or not, growing up. So it wasn't actually...
I believe it.
Yeah. I like strings. It instills the emotions. You know what I'm saying? So when I was in college, I kept getting this itch to keep making music because I would always write. I was part of the poetry club in high school. I was always a writer. I even had, I don't know if you remember like Live Journal and stuff like that, like the electric journals growing up that you would just be typing. And, this is like just around the time of MySpace. But I would do that all the time, and then it kind of just kept growing and growing. And during this time when it was interesting, because when I first started music, like it was around the era where like SoundCloud and YouTube were starting to become a thing for real. So you're talking when I really started taking it serious, it was like 2010, 2011. And so one of the things that were popular at that time was doing remixes to tracks. So, 50 Cent was doing this thing, Lil Wayne, we had that whole Dat Piff era in the early 2000s and stuff like that. But one thing that a lot of people weren't doing at that time was doing remixes to like rock instrumentals or like rock songs and stuff. It was always to like rap songs, And so I started doing that, and because it felt more like emotionally connected with me from the poetry side. But then eventually I was like, you know what? At that time, technology was starting to advance to a point where you can afford home studios. And so when I graduated from college, I went to LaSalle University. I met a friend there who was, this is out in Boston, Massachusetts, by the way. He was a year before me, and we ended up doing a proposal for the first business grant that they were doing at our university. And we won. So it was pretty much like a 360 label. We do everything in-house, you know, the beats, the engineering, the marketing. So this is just around the time before that actually started becoming a thing. And so long story short, I started learning how to engineer, started taking a ton of artists in Massachusetts. Once I felt comfortable with that after like 2-3 years, I was like, all right, I want to start making my own beats. I don't want to remix, you know, tracks anymore. And so started making my own beats. They were horrible, horrible. One beat would take me like a week, and it had no rhythm, nothing. I'd always tell my friends, like, what you think of this one? What you think of this? And they'd always give you that, oh, man, I like the sounds, but, you know, but it's like, you don't like it. Just say you don't like it. So that motivated me more because I was always surrounded by friends that were honest with me. And eventually that caught up, and then the writing was already there. So then I started learning how to record. And then by like 2014, 2015, I started putting it all together. And I was like, I don't really want to work with other artists anymore. I want to focus on building my sound. And it's like that book, 10,000 Hours, where they talk about, you know, you do 10,000 hours in anything, you become a master at it. Yep. And so I did my 10,000 hours, and it got to a point where I always saw where I'm at now, where it was like I heard a specific sound for myself. And I always said that I wanted my music to go as deep as, you know, the self-awareness of like discovering who I am as a person. I want that to reflect in my music. It's like an electronic journal for me. And so as that developed, it got to a point where I'm at now, where I just moved to Atlanta 2 years ago. August 9th marked 2 years. Decided to make the move because I wanted to go somewhere I'd never been. All my family's from up north. I wanted to be instilled in the music scene more, and just learn, you know. And I think you always have to remain inspired for your music to really, depending what your goal is. Some people just want to get the bag with music. They know how to do that, you know what I'm saying? Some people, they do it for the art because they love it. And others, they really trying to make it like a sustainable business, you know. I would say I fall in the category of a sustainable business while also remaining passionate and loving it, to the point where I make it an everyday thing to make sure I'm working on something, whether it's an idea, whether it's a beat, whether it's a chorus, or whatever comes up, because you can take all those pieces and eventually paste it together like a backwoods, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, so that's where we're at now, man. I'm here. It's been 2 years, and very grateful for the journey so far.
So what do you, if you had to give your music a label, what type of artist would you call yourself?
Like genre-wise?
Yeah.
That's tough, man, because I did start with hip-hop and rap, like I told you in the interview we did, the first interview. Currency and Wiz Khalifa was the reason I started music. But what I loved about Wiz Khalifa when I first found him, he was going over techno beats. He had those 2 songs that were over like famous techno beats that like made me go, oh, that's kind of like what I was doing with the, you know, out of genre, not rap beats, and was like, this is cool. Like, I like this. And so then he came out with Kush and OJ, classic, you know what I'm saying? That was a classic mixtape. And then I found Currency, and that's when Currency was coming out with like Pilot Talks. And that's when I found Address, Future and Stolly, and then eventually one of my favorite, Airborne Aquarium at that time. So during all that, like, I was deeply instilled in hip hop and rap, but I always knew that that wasn't fully who I was, and I really wanted to like expand from that. So I would say it's a mix of alternative, because you see a lot more artists doing alternative now as their genre. Like, for example, Lil Yachty made his last album alternative. So it's like, it's kind of hard. I feel like we're in an era where there's so much genre bending that, like, for me, it's hip hop, alternative, and experimental, because when you're creating your own sound, you kind of have to let the audience decide what it's going to be. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think that's with artists like Yachty and other artists that are doing this alternative rap, do you think it's kind of a cop-out? So if it doesn't work, they can be like, oh, I was just experimenting. Because you see a lot of
Good
artists do
question.
that.
Yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, I would say with Little Yachty, it surprised me, but it didn't because I think he mentioned before, like he don't drink, he don't smoke, he don't do none of that. Like he's really grounded in who he is as a person. Not that if you do that stuff, like you're not. Like I'm not saying that, but that's what the culture knows. And to see him keep experimenting with his sound and be able to do what he does, and his fan base continue to really rock with him, like I don't think it's a cop out. I think that's who he is, and because he cares from an artist side, he's able to do these things because he could easily just stay in that lane and still like get the bag or whatever, but he doesn't, and I think that's a testament to who he is as an artist. But you're right, there definitely are artists out there that will just stay in that lane. They know their lane and that's what they want to do, and respect to them for that. But for me, I think I have to continue to push the boundaries. That's why I loved Outkast growing up. Outkast was really that group in the South at that time, and the two intelligent minds that just came together that really just came out with a sound that was uniquely theirs, because who else sounds like them? Nobody.
You got a couple people that tried though.
And they started off straight up rap at first, you know what I'm saying? And they just worked their way into making their own sound.
Big still rap. It was more Andre that was experimental. So you say your genre would pretty much be alternative rap.
I wouldn't even say it's alternative rap. It's just alternative. Yeah.
Alternative to what though?
Just alternative. It's actually its own genre. So that's just like hip hop. Like there's so many subgenres. That's the same thing with alternative, because I think the reason people associate alternative with like rock and rap is because that is kind of a subgenre that they have. But I just say alternative because it allows you to kind of think in your mind what you want it to be. But that is a genre. It's just alternative. Like when I distribute things on, digital platforms, literally one of the genres is alternative. It's not alternative rap. It's not indie rap.
That's
Yeah, it's definitely a lot. Like it kind of puts you in a box a little bit. So I try to pick the genre that like keeps me, as open as possible.
And that's why I asked that question, because if you say something like I'm alternative, and it's cool.
Yeah.
Because nobody can really pin you down and say this is what you're doing, because you can always be fluid with it, switch it up, whatever. But when you do that and you just say I'm alternative, and you can just do anything, then how do people connect with you?
Yeah,
You know
that's so true. Now let me ask you a question, then I'll actually be able to give you like, all right, this is the genre I am. I've had this debate with others before. What genre do you consider Post Malone?
I would say and I know that mama.
Sorry, mama. I have to reject the call right now. But well, I'll get back to you, mom. All right, love you.
That's so fucked. I would honestly say, and a lot of people will probably disagree with me.
Yep.
But I would say Post Malone is pure hip hop.
Listen. I cannot tell you, and I'm gonna get to you, Brian, because he just said it. Okay. I had this debate with one of my good friends who's from Atlanta. He's my neighbor when I first moved here on off of Flat Shows in East Decatur, and we had this debate. And he told me he's pop. He's not hip hop. And I was like, he didn't start off as pop. It may have evolved to that, but he is hip hop. Like hip hop. That just puts the debate of what is hip hop.
But the thing is, a lot of people try to separate pop and hip hop when they don't realize that hip hop is pop.
Exactly.
Because it's popular music. That's what pop
yes.
is, popular music. When people think of pop, they think of people that's just singing, catchy hooks. That's what hip hop is.
Yeah.
Hip hop is motherfuckers rapping melodically with catchy hooks.
And it's meant to evolve.
Exactly.
It's meant to evolve. The hip hop that was in the 80s and 90s is not the same hip hop that is now. It's evolved.
Yeah.
And you're hearing sounds of other genres. Like you could make a case that Post Malone is rock. You know what I'm saying? But he's not. He's not rock. Just because you have a lot of guitars in his music and he's kind of comes off, he portrays, or the public image is that he's a rock star. That doesn't put him as rock. He's hip hop.
I think people do that because he's white.
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of it.
Because like you brought up Outkast. If you listen to old Outkast, they have a lot of guitars in their stuff.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They have a lot of horns.
I believe Andre plays guitar.
Yeah. They have a lot of that instrumentation in their stuff.
Yep.
You know, they don't have a lot of people think that hip hop has to be boom bap New York.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And it doesn't. And I get a lot of people that say, no, that's pop music. Any music that's on the radio is pop music.
Yeah.
For the fact that it's popular.
Yeah.
And that's what
exactly
pop music means, popular music.
You can make the argument right now. My song, my latest, not the latest single, but the second to latest single, Road Soda, which was one of the ones I performed. You can make the debate that that's pop, because literally I'm rapping in it, but it's the way that the song is structured and the way that I'm rapping kind of gives it more of like a singer rap in it. So like it and the instrumentations and the way that it flows, it's purely hip hop, but you can make the argument that if it was on the radio, it is pop.
Long as a lot of people like it, it's pop. Mm-hmm. That's why a lot of people, is he standing right behind me?
You good, bro?
Jesus.
I was like, is he in the camera?
Out the corner of my eye, I'm like, this big nigga just standing right behind me.
It's just a chessboard. It's a chessboard. Don't worry about it.
Jesus. But
I was going to say that to answer your question, because now you said that, I would say I'm hip hop. I would say I'm hip hop. Because no matter what, I've always kept that mentality of hip hop rap in my music. But as I veered away from rap, rap was still instilled in what I've been doing, but now it's more hip hop.
okay.
You know?
I mean, I like your music.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's absolutely different. Mm-hmm. And it's in my opinion, you and the guy Steele, who I had here a couple of weeks ago, you two guys with the right machine behind you, I think y'all out of here. And it's because you are the way you both do your music, you can tell it's a lot of love in it.
Absolutely.
Whereas you see a lot of these rappers, you can tell they're rapping to get famous. They're rapping to make money. And that kind of music, you know, I avoid it. Because
or to get controversial, just to like, you know, because
you can be controversial and make the music you make.
I think that some of it works now and some doesn't, like not to cut you off, but like think about when Tyler, the Creator, first came out. That's the first song he had where he had all those lines that were like real like on the edge, where he was like, you know, what the thing he said about Stevie Wonder and stuff like that. And like, you know, he kind of went Eminem with it in a sense, but it worked. And then you got to see how him as an artist, he's one of my favorite artists, Tyler, the Creator, because this man has evolved and his music has evolved so much. And shout out to Propellerhead Reason, because he started with Reason as well. And I don't know if he still uses it, but that's what I use to this day. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, no, I feel like he's a perfect example of what we're talking about right now, because, you know, that, yeah, they were young and like, you know, you're doing certain things to get on, but like they really were just having fun, and that's just who he is. And as you got to see him evolve through the years and his personality, you realize that's just who Tyler is. So it's kind of hard to tell at first with artists.
So what do you think about Tyler today after he went after the Ian guy? Did you see that?
I didn't see that, no.
So you know who Ian is, right?
Is he like a streamer or something, or like, is he an up-and-coming rapper?
Yeah, he's a dude. I think he's from.
He's a white dude or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
He raps like Future and Gucci Mane.
Interesting.
And Tyler went off on him saying that he's pretty much he's doing blackface music because he's portraying a black guy.
Yeah, but wasn't that what Charlemagne was talking about with Post Malone at one point when he was hating on him so much? But Post Malone ain't even doing it like that. Like Post Malone really just like has his own sound. Like
not when he started off.
No, not when, because Allen Iverson definitely was, you know, a mix, but it still uniquely had its sonics to it. But I mean, I guess I would say with that particular thing, and coming from Tyler, because I know Tyler usually like supports the younger generation. So for him to say that, he must feel a certain way about it. But I would make the debate of two things. Number one, that's probably his influences growing up. So that's part of it. So, you know, like he's just following what he's known, and who knows if that sound will evolve for him. He might find a sound that's more him, but it starts with those influences just like it did for me before you find your sound. Now, it's easier said than done because like you said, and I appreciate what you said about having a machine behind me. That's what I'm working on behind the scenes right now, because it's like you really have to have the right team who sees your vision and also understands your sound, because without that, you're not gonna get far.
Absolutely.
You're not. And I also believe in timing. You know, it's not on your timing; it's on God's timing. So it happens when it's meant to happen. But with Ian, I think it's different if like you also. I don't know if he produces his own music. I know a lot of up and coming artists have a home studio and stuff. But what I will say, it's easier to do that when you either have a producer behind you, that like Drake did, where his sound with Noah like completely changed over time, and he understood that as the engineer and was able to put that element of Drake into it over time. But it's harder, I think, for artists that just rap to really find someone who's willing to grow with them instead of just seeing it as business and recording you and stuff like that. So you can make that one argument that like those are his influences, but you can also make the argument that everyone sounds like that now.
Yeah.
This is truth. Everyone's throwing auto-tune on and just rapping and, you know, biting off different styles.
What
and
do they call that style now? I forget. But
it used to be mumble rap. I don't know what it is
Yes,
anymore. I don't know if Ian mumbles either. I've never heard his music, nothing, so I
he
can't really
sounds,
say.
if you, after this interview, play it, look him up, he sounds just like Future.
If he sounds just, I love Future. If he sounds just like Future, I'm not gonna listen to him because I already listen
Yeah,
to Future.
that's
That would be weird for me.
Yeah, that's exactly what he sounds like. He sounds just like Future.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know who he was, and a friend of mine was like, "You heard of Ian?" And I was like, "Ian? Never heard of no Ian." And he played it. And I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
that's weird.
Yep, exactly. And that's why I'm saying it's like, nah, because there's other artists who've done that who never, let me give you the password. I knew he was going to forget the password to my phone. Remember I said it to him and he's like, yeah, I'm going to remember it. Now this man's looking at me like, what's the number? Yeah, let me just put it for everyone to hear. 0318. So yeah, I mean, in terms of Tyler the Creator saying that, I respect what he's saying because we already have a Future. We already have a Gucci Mane. We already have plenty of artists like that. Like, what are you bringing differently to the table? You know what I'm saying?
Boy, blowing up.
And if he's blowing up, you can't hate on it because he's found what works for him right now.
You can't hate on him. And the reason why I'm gonna say that is this. If we don't have, and a lot of people say, oh, that's old nigga hate, that's old nigga, blah, blah, blah. But if you don't have somebody hating on you, okay, so human beings, I'm gonna bring it back around.
Yeah.
We grow by stuff being competitive, by stuff being a challenge.
Yeah.
Somebody hating on you creates a challenge. It creates adversity. So you need people hating on you. You heard the old sayings, I love my haters, my haters. So yeah, we can hate on them. And I think Tyler is the wrong person to be mad at him because of what you said, how Tyler started off.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, when Tyler started off, were like, what is this?
He's trying to be Eminem.
You know what I mean?
He's trying to be like this.
What is
Trying to be like that.
So
Yeah.
for you to levy that same criticism at a new rapper, it seems weird.
Yeah.
Like somebody else, if Future came out and said, who the fuck is this guy? Or if Gucci came out and said, who is this? Or 21 Savage, who are obviously his influences, like you said earlier, then I'll put more credence in it.
And I think part of it is, does Ian even live that lifestyle? Because they talking about the stuff they really live. You feel me?
He has a video where he got this other guy with him, and the guy has on a shiesty, and he got another guy with all this grill.
Yeah.
And you looking at the video, and you like, what?
Yeah.
Like you're thinking to
It
yourself,
throws you off.
what is this? You get what I'm saying? And it seems like a minstrel show. And for people that don't know what a minstrel show is when back in the day, white people would dress with black face and dance like black people and sing like black people. And that's kind of what it seems like. But you really can't say that because, like you said, there's probably his influences coming up.
And at the end of the day, if there is anything inauthentic of it, I do believe in this day and age with social media and the way things are running that like you'll get exposed. You'll get exposed for being someone you're not.
Look this dude up.
Yeah.
You get a chance,
I will.
You will be dumbfounded. His the guy who's pushing him is Akon's brother. So it's kind of like,
So he's certified then.
you know, Akon's
He's
brother. They
certified,
from
right?
in Atlanta.
Right,
So,
right.
You know, it's like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
But-
Yeah, that's real.
But back to you.
Yeah.
So you've been doing music, if I got the timeline right, about 20 years.
Damn, it makes me seem old, bro.
Hey, man.
It's I'd say it's about like me making my own music and stuff about 13 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah,
And
yeah, man.
You do you ever go outside of your studio to do stuff at other studios?
So I have not here. When I first moved here, I was, but I do everything from my apartment, like literally. Like my sound, like I have people ask me all the time, "What studio you go to? Like your sound sounds so clean, like it's engineered well." I'm like, I just did it in my studio because the thing is the one thing. Not only did I want to make my own sound, I also wanted to be like I saw how it was gonna go in the future, and I was like, where can I save money and learn to do this well so that it's less of a cost that I have to put forward? Because this day, the amount that you pay for studio time, you know what I'm saying, getting your stuff engineered, getting your stuff mastered, these I already think should be things that, like, if you can do it yourself and you're willing to put in the time, you can save yourself a ton of money and then use that money for marketing instead of having to come up with a larger budget. You know, where can you cut out the middleman, right? That's where it really comes down to. Where how do you cut the middleman out so that you can save yourself money? Like, unless like you have a good friend who you grew up with that just makes beats and then y'all could just record it and get it out to get mixed and mastered. Okay, you're still saving money. You're still saving studio time. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not for everyone, and that's why I've played the long game. You know, like shout out to, you know, the late Nipsey. It's not a race, it's a marathon. I've always believed that from the beginning. Like I always knew that it wasn't gonna happen overnight and it would take years because the sound that I saw for me, I needed to learn how to develop that. I didn't even know it. So now where I'm at now, it's like I can just make these vibes that I want to make. You know, it's all about one of my favorite influences as well is Mac Miller. You know, I feel like Mac Miller, when he was alive, he didn't get you know, the credit he deserved, and he was a musician as well. He played piano. He was great, like at engineering as well, and he just made his vibes were always so soulful. That's the thing. Like when you told me that you can tell like the effort you put into the music and you know the vibes in it. It's also because I feel like I've found a pocket where like I'm having fun. So in general, when I'm doing that now, my soul's coming out with it because you know we're cohesively enjoying the experience. Whereas early on, it was kind of like me, you know, following my influencers, trying to be cool, have this image, you know what I'm saying? Like, and like when I first listened to Currency and Wiz, I just started smoking weed then. Like that was my first time smoking weed. I was like a sophomore in college. The paranoia I was getting and stuff, man, you'd be lucky if I could go into a studio and even get a sentence down. Like, and I remember thinking to myself, I would smoke all the time and be like, how do they go to the studio and record? Like, I can't do this. Like, I'd be such a rookie around them. It was funny.
Because you would be surprised at how many people put out that persona and they don't do it.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah.
Not saying Wiz don't do it or whatever, but being an engineer before,
Yeah.
I've had to kick people out of the studio because they come in at high, and you like, bro, you spending your
Right.
money. You know what I
Right.
mean?
I've had people fall asleep when I was doing that
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, but like, hey.
And be like, yo, bro, like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
this is your money. Like, you ain't coming back unless you pay more.
Yeah.
And that was the thing, too. It's like when you know, it was part of the sacrifice of, like, taking other artists, dealing with their egos and stuff like that. I just learned so much about seeing the different angles. And Russ talks about this, too. He was like, you got to wear all the hats. Truly, as an artist, if you see yourself as an artist or musician getting to that level one day, you got to wear all the hats. So then when you do hire a team, you know exactly what has to be done, and they can't play you or milk you.
Exactly.
And that was the same thing. I did my own videography for the first 5 years. I did all my editing, everything. And that was a huge stepping stone for me to understand how that works, how pre-editing, post-editing, all that works. Yeah. Same thing with audio engineering. I'd be in the studio when I did get invited to do songs and tell the, you know, engineer, oh, can you put this on my voice? Can you actually use this EQ or use this compressor? And they'd be like, how do you know that? I'm like, I make my own music, bro. Like, I know this stuff. Like, you ain't just talking to someone who's here trying to be ignorant, you know?
Or just trying to be seen. Like,
so, yeah, so wearing the different hats really helped. And it's helped a lot. Now, you know, having that experience, I can smell bullshit from a mile away. And I'm like, bro, we're not doing this. Like, no, it's not happening. I ain't gonna work with you.
So, we got the music part down. We got the life part down. Let's do some talking.
Let's do it.
Because the Big LAC Show is life, talk, music, life.
Yeah.
What, in your opinion, must an artist do to make it in 2024?
It's a great question. I would say, I'm gonna take off my glasses for this one. All right, now we get a little more personal. You know what I'm saying? They gotta know. They gotta know.
Oh my God, that shit made my chest hurt. All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
From all my experience, I would say two things. The first one, let go of expectations. Let go of expectations. I cannot stress that enough, because I can't tell you, out of these 13 years of me producing and doing my own music and consistently releasing, I can't tell you how much joy was stripped of me about 4 or 5 of those years, first 4 or 5 of those years, having an expectancy and feeling like I was entitled to something. Oh, I'm doing this all on my own. I got my own studio built. I'm doing this, like I deserve this attention, da-da-da. My music was nowhere near where I wanted it to be. Nowhere near where I wanted it to be. And once I let go of that, I started having fun. And I started really enjoying the process and realizing, because, you hear artists when they get big sometimes say, I wish I can go back to before I made it so I can actually enjoy it in the present moment more, because I wasn't focused on it. I was too focused thinking of where I was going to be, that now that I'm here, I miss some of the struggles I used to go through. So that's number one. The second one I would say is never seek validation outside of yourself, but recognition is a great motivator. Use recognition as a way to motivate yourself from others, but don't ever expect it or anticipate it. Yeah. Because I was looking for validation for so long, telling, passive listeners of my music and stuff, and people I didn't even know, like, yo, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And like taking it to heart and being like, damn, I have to do this. But, everyone has an opinion. So once I let go of that, and it became frustrating. It became frustrating because I'm just like, can I do anything right? Because that's how, they always say the biggest enemy is yourself. And if you expect perfection from yourself, number one, you're never going to get perfection. The closest to that is Tom Brady. But outside of that, I see it. I wish we could see your reactions when I say some of this things. Outside of that, you have to be your biggest fan and trust when people are all like, oh, this ain't gonna work. How many times have we seen that with artists where like they just stayed in what they were paving their road? They didn't even have a lane, and because of that, they got to where they got. So that's why I say let go of expectations, because life is so full of abundance. You just never know who you're gonna meet, where you're gonna be, what can happen. It just takes that one person to listen to your music to believe in you that much and be like, let me be a part of what you're building. So I just try and keep that mentality, and that's really what's allowed me to enjoy this process so much more, and like see myself as who I've always seen myself becoming without thinking of how it's supposed to look.
That was a well thought out answer. Okay.
Years of suffering, man. Years of suffering.
So where will you be? I don't like the goals thing, 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
So right now you are really you're doing well. Mm-hmm. And I can tell from your social media presence how many people that interact with you, the interaction at the club that night.
Right.
Where do you see yourself, let's say 5 years from now, as far as just music go? Do you see yourself continuing to do music, or do you see yourself playing the background, helping another young artist make it?
I'm always going to be doing music. No matter what happens in 5 years, I will continue to evolve my sound. I will continue to make music. That's never going to change. That's a part of my soul. That's a part of my being. That's a part of my expressionism. That's never changing. In terms of helping younger artists, I think that all just depends, on who the artist is and how we click and stuff like that, because I do want to be able, and I have throughout, my time given tips to different artists and, giving them game on what's worked for me, what hasn't worked for me. But ultimately, like I said before, I really think for any artist, letting go of those expectations will just make your life so much more joyful. And so when I think about where I'll be in 5 years, if you asked me 4 years ago or 5 years ago, would I be sitting here with you in Atlanta doing this interview, living on my own, making music every day, doing my thing, and working at a great university. Shout out to Clark Atlanta University. They've been very loving and supporting of my music from the moment I got there. And I just, I work in technology as well. That's the other thing I would like to say is, as a young artist, you want to make this, you have to put your ego aside and be willing to work as well. If that means that your 9 to 5 is the bank that gives you the loan for you to support your music, then that's what it has to be. But along the way, there was times where I was like, because I've always worked, no matter what. I graduated college, I always worked throughout, the whole, and people don't know that. All they see is the other part of me. They've never seen that side of me. And so I was always in technology and doing that because I was like, I want to build myself up to be able to make a certain amount of money that I know I can take out to invest in my music.
Yeah.
Because without that, if you're just going to be a starving artist, which I did for 4 years, it did benefit me in the sense that was the pocket where I honed in on my craft, honed in on the engineering, honed in on the recording process, finding my sound. But at the same time, in this day and age, you have to have money to invest in yourself to even give yourself a chance. Like, gone are the days early on where you throw it on SoundCloud, you throw it on YouTube, people find it, and you blow up. Like, It's not like that. There used to be a time in music where it was all about output. The more output you put, the more chances you have of getting seen and exposure and getting fans. That's what Currency was doing early on. He was just and he still does that. He's still throwing it out. He knows how to run his business, and I admire that so much, which is why, love to one day meet him and be able to pick his brain a little bit, because the sustainability that he has, I'd rather have that any day, that longevity, building an empire, a corporation that never dies like he did, rather than being famous for like 5 years and then you just disappear off the face of the earth. I want people listening to my music 20 years from now, looking back and being like, oh, wow, and like discovering me then. You know what I mean? That's why I say that this is a marathon and let go of expectations, because you just never know when something's going to pop off and it's going to have its timing. Like, when an author writes a book, that is a ton of condensed energy. They put it out there, probably don't do good for a couple of years, and then it just explodes out of nowhere. That's happened with so many authors and artists alike that it's like you can't look at it as a now thing. I think gone are those days where you're like, oh, this is old now. Like, I used to think when I was putting out music every Sunday for 3 years, I was like, oh, this is old now. Oh, this is old now. On to the next one. On to the next one. And it worked in the sense that now I can go back, pick some songs that have gotten popular over time. Like, I have a song from 2020 I just went to Florida to do a music video for called Cherry Pie OG. And that song has become real popular. And so what I did was extract that song because it's old to me, new to people who haven't listened to it, and realize that you can't think like that, like, oh, on to the next one, that's old. Because you do that, you're going to burn yourself out.
Yep.
You are going to burn yourself out. And I did numerous times where I just wanted to quit music. And so 5 years from now, to answer your question, because I'm kind of giving you the long answer, is I see myself being very successful in my music, impacting people with my music. And at the same time, I want to help, younger artists. But most importantly, I want to pioneer whether it's a new genre or a new sound that opens up the lane for artists that didn't have a lane before. So that way now they have a direction that they can go into, see the blueprint, and be like, okay, now I feel like, I could find who I am or who my fans are. Because that's the toughest thing, I think, for independent artists. You can have great, great music, but if you don't have a personality, no one's going to buy into your brand. No. Nobody. In this day and age, you are the brand. Your content is everything you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Let's be real. Even people that are have everything going on, they have boring moments in life. They're human. They sit at home and watch TV. They eat dinner. They're with their families. They're not, consistently out here doing interviews, on to the next thing. No, it just seems that way. So don't let social media confuse you. Like, put yourself out there, allow yourself to be who you are, and just let the cards, or the dice roll as they may. There's certain things you cannot control, but there are things you can. So, that's how I feel. So I can't really tell you where I'll be 5 years from now. I just know I definitely see myself being successful and really doing this music for real. So
I like when you was talking about Currency, and you was like, he runs his company well. Mm-hmm. I like the fact that you understand that your music, your brand is a company.
Yeah.
A lot of artists don't realize that. When did you come to that realization that this is an LLC? I need to treat it like that?
Yeah, I would say it was about 3 years ago. Honestly, it was I think it was like around 2020. I had came out with an album January 2021, Godfidence. And it was then that I realized I'm like, okay, now that I see where my sound's going, now I have to pivot and look at the other areas where I have to wear a hat. One of those is, what do you see your brand becoming? So I had changed my logo, started making things a little different. I had to really ask myself, who am I as an artist? If I had to sit here and write a bio for someone to read in my EPK or my electronic press kit, and just based off that and how I look, see if they want to listen to my music or not, how would I describe that? You know? And I think that's ever evolving, and that's okay, but the one consistency you have to have is that you are good with who you are. Because if not, you're going to be, you're going to be living out other people's narratives.
Exactly.
And that's where influences can be great, but at the same time, like we were talking about earlier, how are you going to evolve? Because that's not going to stay the same forever. So
that's true. Well, I really don't have no more questions, man. You made this too easy. Like,
I appreciate it.
Most people come in, they sit across from me, and it's like pulling teeth to get to answer one question.
Yeah.
And they so stuck in the mode of gangsterism or street shit. So you get a lot of street phrases and stuff like that. But you're a pretty intelligent guy.
I appreciate it, man.
What'd you go to college for?
I went to school for communication, so television, radio, and audio productions. And I did a minor and I minored in environmental studies. So that was like the beginning of that. The other thing I was gonna say too about like the whole pulling teeth thing is, everyone has strengths, right? For me, I'm an Aquarius, so like Aquarians are really good at inspiring other people, having conversations, things of that nature. And so for me, that's something that I didn't realize was a superpower. Like every astrology sign has a superpower, you know what I'm saying, and has a weakness. My superpower is my ability to network and connect with other individuals. And like, they say you might not remember a person's name, but you remember how they make you feel.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna remember how I make you feel. No Diddy, all right? You're gonna remember how I make you feel. But at the same time, I also have distinct qualities. So you're gonna remember me for my hair or looking like Jesus, like you be saying and stuff like that. You don't come across people who look like me every day. Nah. So it's like, it's kind of a two-edged sword. But I do believe that like my biggest strength is outside of obviously the music and the whole putting words together and all that and creating tracks is really being able to connect with people. And I think that's something that is really important, because now in this day and age with social media, everyone's connecting through their phones and stuff. No one's really connecting in person. So when I get that opportunity with you, just like Gary Vee does, it's like I want to be able to leave you with an impact so that you remember me. You know what I'm saying?
I noticed last interview and this interview, you don't curse much.
No, I don't. That's funny. I'm glad you picked that up, because I've been told that about my music too. Like, I have a couple songs where here and there I'll put a couple, but like I never really felt like I needed to. And it's not intentional. Like it's not intentional. I just I don't know. I don't got nothing against it or nothing, Gary Vee, like I listen to him all the time. Every other word is a cuss word. Yeah. So it's like, but I just never really felt like I needed that to communicate how I'm feeling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Some people, they feel like it adds an edge to them.
Yeah. I feel like if that works for you, cool. But like I will say, because I'm in TV and film in terms of making music geared for that and getting sync placements and stuff, they actually really like that you don't cuss.
Yeah.
So it works in my favor.
It's easier.
Yeah, it's easier. And you could do edited ones, but like if your song is like 40% cuss words, you're going to have a lot of fillers in there. Yeah. A lot of scratches, a lot of fillers, a lot of
horns.
Yeah.
Police sirens.
Yeah.
Gunshots. All right, man. So we about to get out of here. This has been an awesome interview.
I appreciate it, man. It's been smooth. Smooth.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to drink for this one.
Me either. Thank you for the Coke Zero, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of cool that you was like, I'm actually gonna bring him a Coke Zero, because I was just joking. But I'm thank you.
Yeah, man. Look, my mom, one thing I learned from my parents, they always instilled in me, especially my mom. She was like, you go anywhere and you invited, bring a gift. Wow. I don't like to go anywhere empty-handed. Like, this is your sacred space. You invited me here. The least I could do is show my thanks by bringing you a Coke Zero. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm sure gonna drink it with that dango. I forget what McDonald's sandwich I brought.
See?
Not even gonna eat.
See?
Give everybody your social media, where they can find you and all that good stuff.
So across the board, it's Noetic J, Noetic space letter J. That's my Instagram. That's my TikTok. You look me up on YouTube, it'll be the same thing. My Twitter is the same thing. My Threads is the same thing. You Google me, I'm going to come up the first few pages. Like, everything is Noetic J. And that's one tip I will give out to people right now. People think about with internet, like SEO, how to get your SEO up, how to get this up. Pick a unique name that nobody has, and I guarantee you, when you have enough material out there and people search you, if you have done your stuff right with your keywords, with your details and descriptions, when you're putting stuff up, they will find you, because Noetic J, nobody has that. And I didn't know that at the time. That's the thing. And so over the years of building, that's how that ended up happening. Was then people were like, yeah, I search you, the first 3 pages is you. And I'm like, well, there's my SEO. Yeah. I mean, no one else got me. So
that's how it is with EbonVision. If you put it in EbonVision,
exactly,
the first 3 or 4 pages.
Yep.
EbonVision.
Yep. When you do your due diligence and you just continue, and you got that unique name, you good.
Yeah. You
good.
Man, I appreciate you coming through.
Likewise, bro.
Hey, man. Big LAC Show. Noetic J. Search him. We out of here.